Now, welcome to World Chefs Podcast. I'm your host, Ragnar, and you're listening to World on a Plate. I'm very excited to have with me today Dr. Yana Steudel, who is a scientist and a culinary innovator and a founder of Dr. Steudel AG company in Germany, in Berlin, right where she's sitting right now. After an international career in chemistry, Yana, she combined her scientific expertise with her passion for flavors and gastronomy. And she founded the Dr. Steudel company, Germany-based, as I mentioned, developing over 30 award-winning, all-natural gourmet products. And her company is known for its vision and transfer of cultures through flavors and offer a healthier, more natural way of seasoning. She's also is the vice president of the Académie Nationale de Cuisine, where she promotes culinary diplomacy using her expertise in flavor to bridge cultures together. So, Yana, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Yeah. No, it was great to meet you in Morocco the other day. We were in at the Krumai food festival, and we started chatting, and really fascinating story. Maybe for those who don't know what your products are, can you explain more about what your pearls are?
Yes, of course. We all know back in the day, around 30 years ago, we started to talk about molecular gastronomy, molecular cuisine. And for some time, it was a trend. So we were basically not cooking anymore. We were eating air and soil and gels and spaghetti and whatever you name it. And maybe it was exaggerated at that time, but after every trend, some elements stay, and you can use them reasonably in your everyday life, in your everyday cooking. So that's where the products are. It is basically a little sphere, therefore it's called a bowl. It's not sitting in the oyster, of course. It's a little delicate pearl, which is all natural because the surface is made of algae, so it's a completely natural thing.
Mm.
And it is an encapsulated flavor. It can be fruit juice, it can be sauce, it can be spice, it can be vinegar. It is something that you place on the plate. It can be seasoning. You can play it. I mean, we teach children not to play with food, right?
Yeah.
But in that case,
They should play with food.
they should play with food, and we all should play with food in
Absolutely.
a reasonable way without
Yeah.
wasting. It is a sensation. It is something you bite on a pearl, you get the flavor. It is not pre-mixed as normally in the kitchen. So you
Mm.
grate pepper or something. You create a sensation of the flavor exactly where it should taste on the palate.
So before we
And
go back to all the different flavors you have, so tell us about how it started, your very first creation, and how you got into from being a scientist and into being a food manufacturer in a sense, or what was the
exactly.
idea behind that?
I did work in the research for most of my academic career in the United States and Japan, where I started all this adventure in on four continents. But I never have seen myself really as a chemist. I did study chemistry. I got my PhD in chemistry. I did work in chemistry, but my heart was always in the kitchen. This was my favorite lab, so to speak. So, and I did my cooking contests just to do something I loved. And sometimes you get some steps in your life that you have to change things. And I in at the end of the academic career, I was in a publishing house and doing kitchen or cooking, creation, creativity, etc. in my free time, provided I had some. But then I started working with a cider vinegar producer to develop flavors. And it was 2017, the end of, and Christmas was coming. And I just decided to create the first pearl without thinking of any business ahead. So this was sherry. You are in Spain. This was sherry, the sweetest sherry, Pedro Jimenez. For me, it was always a bottle sitting in a kitchen to add to sauces. So I did the pearls just in small jars as a taster, so to speak, and send them to the friends in France, in Normandy, where I learned French, to a company foie gras, which is a tradition in France, obviously. And the friends were chef au domicile, private chefs, and they offered that to their customers, and they loved it. That's how it started. And
Right.
sometimes you never know how it goes.
Start,
Now,
started as a gift,
exactly.
and you mentioned the Pedro Jimenez that I was so lucky to get some of the examples of your pearls and the Pedro Jimenez sherry flavor. Yeah, really amazing with any game or yeah, I can see it
With
work on
game,
the
with foie
cheese,
gras, of course,
foie
with
gras with
cheese.
the cheese. Beautiful. And so tell me more about the flavors. I have a selection of flavors in front of me, and you listening to our podcast cannot see or taste what I'm tasting and seeing. But tell me a bit more about your flavors because they're amazing. I mean, I just like one that stroked me here. It's so daring, the bouillabaisse, and so many others. Tell me more about the flavoring and how you're using your scientific background to create more flavors and the natural healthy flavors.
Well, I mentioned that I came from science to gastronomy. But once I started my business, I realized how much chemist I'm still. So that basically closed the circle because science brought me to gastronomy, and gastronomy brought me back to science. That is how it is every day. And for me, science is really an invisible ingredient because I use it not to manipulate, not to modify, but really to enhance flavors, to protect, to preserve the flavors naturally. So it's not an enemy as chemistry is normally seen. It's a bad thing which is destroying the world. It can, but it is not always. So I use chemistry or my knowledge in that to to really preserve things. So for example, I have one jar in front of me also. This is saffron, which you have also.
Hmm. Yeah.
And saffron is a great spice, of course, because of the culture, because of everything. But chemically, you have a jar with mango vinegar with saffron in front of you. So saffron preserves vitamin C. Saffron uh, does a lot of things, and not only bringing this golden color. So I do use a lot of flavors with saffron if it is matching. But basically, in the beginning, I was doing pearls in the beginning really for fun, and it grew sort of in a sort of collection which was called Pure Taste because it is the magic word, pure.
Mm.
It's not chemical, it's not artificial, it's really pure. And with time, things have started to change that you don't create flavors just for fun. You create it for a purpose.
Mm.
That is where Bouillabaisse, for example, was created. Bouillabaisse is a different story, but once I got a call from France, from my biggest client, which is a chain of restaurants, sushi shop, and they wanted to have lobster pearls. And I was sort of confused. Why do you need lobster pearls? Take lobster and
Mhm.
take some lemon pearls, and you have it. But after a few days of thinking, uh, we just created the line which is called pure sauce because it makes sense. You don't pour sauce, you place it. It is precise, it is pure, it is intensive. You can play with that. And you also can make the life of chefs easier because you have a tool which is sustainable, which is scalable, which is consistent. You can use it from minus 18 degrees to 160, which is a big range. You can use it in a soup, you can use it on a sauce, you can use a lot of things. And there is another line which is called Pure Spice. Saffron belongs to it. This is probably the only way to to use the spice in a pure form without adding into sauce, without adding it into a couscous or risotto or whatever it is. You place it really in a pure form. It is not only playing with the flavors, but it's also bringing culture, because saffron is a big tradition around the world, from Morocco, where we met first time, to Iran, to whatever it is. And it's also caring about people, producers. It's a lot of stories, but
Mm.
taste is the main thing.
Mm. Yeah, and you mentioned you have different lines here, pure spice, and you have the tasty globes, which is actually then expressing different cultures, and I know that is something that is very important to you, transmit cultures. So tell us more about that. How you transmit cultures and capture the essence of a cuisine around the world through the pearls. And just so listeners understand, we're talking about little pearls that you can place on your dish, filled with flavors and very crunchy and give a
Exactly.
texture and a lovely lovely notes. Uh, how do you translate culture into a flavor experience?
Well, it's actually exactly what is the name of your podcast, World on the Plate, right? It's
Mm.
literally taken. The idea came was actually we were preparing for the trade fair in Hamburg, which is World WTCA, World Travel and Onboard Catering Services. And the idea was to help caterers serving online on board in the airplane to create dishes adapted to the destinations.
Mm.
So, for example, if you are traveling to Morocco or you're traveling to Mexico or to Thailand,
Yep.
whatever it is, you can really create a neutral dish like chicken, for example, or vegetables and so on. And you place in that case, I call them globes because it is exactly what it is. You place it and you create a dish with a flavor of the country. And flavor is cooking, is cuisine, is a big part of the culture, right? So it's really like you close your eyes and you feel, you taste the essence of the culture. It is bouillabaisse, which you have in front of you, which is southern Spain, Provence. I do work a lot with vanilla, which country do you think first when you hear the word vanilla? It's Madagascar, right? So it's the essence of the country.
Mm.
Sometimes you cannot define the essence of the country in one flavor, but you still have something which you keep in mind. It is dear to you. It is something where you travel without really traveling. Your
Mm.
palate is traveling. It is telling stories. It is telling the stories of the people behind the products. It's sharing cultures, really. And
Mm.
sharing cultures is also bringing understanding, because politics divide countries sometimes and cuisine unites it.
Absolutely.
So this is exactly what you are doing in your association, World Chefs. You are united people cooking, telling stories through cuisine, through flavors. And this is what I'm doing with different tools.
Absolutely. And so I have in front of me the salsa mexicana. I have the bouillabaisse from Provence. And so what others? You mentioned Thai. What other destinations can I travel to with your red pearls and globe?
You never know. I mean, saffron from Morocco is the newest edition, of course,
Mm.
because I got a little gift from the people in Marrakesh with incredible hospitality. This was my first time in Morocco, and I got a little jar with saffron. And saffron, I mentioned it a couple of times already. When I started working with saffron, I tried saffron from 15 different locations, and it's in that case, it's a taste of a soil. It can be acidic, it can be hearty, it can be earthy, it can be different.
Mm.
So, Tasty Globes is vanilla, of course, which is Madagascar. And in that case, it's vanilla and lobster with vanilla, which is a very natural combination. It is Thai chili sweet sour. It is salsa mexicana. It is bouillabaisse. It is pommeau, which is a apple liquor from Normandy. It's not as strong as Calvados. I call it a young brother of
Right.
Calvados.
Yeah, with the sweeter
Uh,
touch. Yeah.
right. What do we have? It is yuzu ponzu from Japan, of course. And Japan is a very special country to me. This was my first destination after I got my PhD. I spent 2 years in Japan. I met my husband in Japan, so it's a very special country. So and the line will be growing, of course, because
Yeah. And
it's a never-ending story.
then you have a completely different line, I see here with, I know you've been working with our good friends at Corporate Cress on flavor. Tell me more about that collaboration with Corporate Cress and the flavor that you mentioned, mango with saffron. I have basil blossom, I have black garlic, I have mushrooms, I have a tomato balsamico, Tasmanian mountain pepper. Uh,
But if
these
it's
are the ones I have in front of me, and maybe there are others. Tell me more about that collaboration with Corporate Crest, though.
well, Comet Crest is a very special collaboration. I was invited by them to come to Monster, the place you know probably,
Yes, Corporate
and
Crest is a very good partner of World Chefs, and we do a lot of interesting things
exact,
together, for
exactly, and
creativity and yeah.
exactly. So I was invited to come there and to cook together with them. So this was, I was a bit nervous because, as you know, I'm not a chef. I do cook, but I still have a lot of respect for chefs. So I brought my collection, and I mean, as you know, Copat Cress has a slogan, aromatique, architecture aromatique, sorry. And this is what unites us because I have different forms, so to speak, but this is exactly the same. So we had a cooking session together, and we were cooking in this huge Ferrari type of kitchen in Monster, and used the cresses, used their plants, and my pearls, and then we created 3 flavors together. That means it is the same product, it is the same flavor, it's just a different form. That is basil blossom, which you have in front of you, which is an African basil, and we work with the flowers. It is Tzaloti blossom is the trademark of Cobat Cress. I do work with the kaffir lime leaves, which is a completely different flavor, and this was probably the most challenging flavor because it took me 1 year to develop the
Wow.
recipe, which is good. And there is tahun cress, which is a very foresty, umami, mushroom, whatever. So it's 3 flavors which are based on the cresses, plants created by Copat cress or cultivated by Copat cress, but brought to the different form. And this is where we complement each other. So because sometimes also the plants are very fragile, you can't really use it all the time. For example, on a yacht, on a big cruise ship, etc., where they don't have a supply for the plants every day. You can still have a jar and have the same flavor in different form on the plate. So there, we collaborate on that, obviously.
Excellent. Really interesting. And you mentioned a lot of different plants and flavors and quite exotic at times. And so can you share is there any flavor that you're particularly proud of that how that came to life and what challenge
Well,
that you had?
proud, uh, proud is a big word, of course. I mean, sometimes it's not a flavor where I'm proud of because we mentioned chemistry a number of times, and in the beginning I was very careful about saying I'm a chemist or I've been a chemist in my previous life, so to speak, in my dark past.
Right.
So, but the trust I get from the chefs, this is what I'm really proud of because this is absolutely not self-understanding. And also sometimes the occasions where I create something special for a special occasion. For example, we did the saffron pearls from the Japanese saffron for the reception at the Emperor's Palace in Tokyo, or when Emmanuel Macron came to Berlin and we created the elderberry pearls. These are special moments you really keep in mind and are proud of, obviously, because especially when chefs are ordering something or creating something without even having tasted the pearl. So it is a trust which I really cherishing every day. This is very, very special. And from the flavors, I mean, I mentioned kaffir lime, which took simply a lot of time because it can become very soapy. So this is something where you really are satisfied when the result is exactly as you want it to be. And the line you have mushroom, for example. This is the line which is called pure sauce. This is something I'm really proud of because this has never been created at all. Because there were pearls on the market which may be good, maybe not so good, but they did exist. Putting a sauce in a pearl was never a point. At least nobody had this crazy idea before. So, and this is exactly the tool for the chef. It's not a playing around. It's a precise tool to bring to the kitchen on a business level, on a scalable level, on a consistent level. This is something I had to learn myself because I'm not a professional chef, never have been, and probably will never be, but still thinking with their brain and doing tools for them to make their life easier, knowing the circumstances, that there are not too many people in the kitchen, etc., etc. So this is something I'm proud of.
Yeah, amazing and great story. So, what would be sort of? Are you now looking into anything new? Is there any new product lines on the agenda, ingredients, or any new projects or directions or cultures or that you're excited about right now? You want to share with us already?
Well,
Something.
I mean, there is always something going on behind the scenes. Because sometimes chefs are calling me and need something to be created for their specific menu, for their specific event, etc., etc. So there are always, in addition to these 30 flavors, which is quite a bit already, there are always flavors that were created especially for someone. And I don't think that there will be a new line because 4 lines is already quite a bit. What I'm working at the moment is from the line of pure sauce, something to complement the meat dishes, because we have lobster with saffron, we have bouillabaisse, which is going to the fish direction. We have the Asian, which is ginger and curcuma, going to more vegetarian, and also Indian, Asian, whatever it is. But demi-glace, which is going more to complement the meat dishes. This is very tricky and takes some time. So this is what I'm experimenting quite a lot at the moment. And Tasty Globe will develop, of course, because I'm traveling. The palette is traveling, so the new
Yeah.
ideas are coming out, and we're now testing the products on the private jets this week. So the pearls are flying, which is a good thing too. And
Right.
this is something very interesting too, because we all know that the senses are very dulled up there at
Yeah.
4,000 feet,
Yeah.
and the pearls are really helping with that,
All right.
because this is yeah
Yeah,
this
they are
is
kept. Yeah, they are locked
they're
in. They're locked in a pearl.
they are
So
locked in they are locked in, and they create taste sensation on the palate. And that makes brings me to the point which you mentioned, health forward, health oriented. you really avoid putting a lot of salt
Right. Mm.
because you can
Which,
inspire taste buds without putting salt, especially in catering business. You have to prepare the dishes ahead of time. That means you put salt, which is diluted. You don't taste it, but it is still there. So you really can avoid that. And flying pearls, so to speak, or globes, this is something
flying
very
pearls, yeah. And that could be very interesting. Many of our members are actually in the airline catering industry. And we all know that, yeah, we tend to add more salt in order to boost our flavor buds
exactly. And
in a high altitude.
exactly. And I'm trying to avoid salt completely. So,
Mm,
for example, if you cook fish and you're sitting in southern Spain, so you have um, sea around the corner. So, if I cook, for example, like cod or turbo, whatever it is, white fish, I put it in the oven with some olive oil without any salt and pepper. And once it is ready, I just place a spoon of lobster with saffron or bouillabaisse, and it contains everything. You don't need any additional salt at all. So it needs a little bit of rethinking how to season,
mm,
but
mm,
especially up there in the airplane or on a cruise ship or whatever it is easy, it is precise, it is consistent, it is scalable, it is beautiful. In addition, I don't put this aspect too much into the focus because it's about sensation, it's about taste. But decoration is also a subject because we eat with eyes, as we all say. So it's a lot of things, it's complexity. And you also can put different globes, in this case, on one dish and create every bite differently. It's health in terms of physical health, it's also mental health, it's joy.
mm, mm. Absolutely is. And I mean, your approach it really resonates with with what we want to advocate through our nutrition programs and sustainability programs. Do you have any particular message to share with chefs or culinary innovators around the world about how you see the future of taste and how innovation you can push your boundaries through innovation and
Well, it's of course I do have my vision. First of all, we talk about cultures, we talk about cuisines, and we speak. It is a German cuisine, it is a French cuisine, it is American cuisine. But I personally don't see that cuisines have nationalities because we always use elements that come from different cuisines. Potato is coming from South America, and we don't talk about that. And this is probably the basic of German cuisine or whatever it is. We use pepper, we use different things. So maybe it's at some point we stop talking about really national cuisine. It's all international. Of course, we bring cultures, we bring different flavors from certain things, but every dish is a fusion. And every dish is sort of combining cultures, combining people. And we sometimes we consider I became sort of a lawyer for science and gastronomy and cultures. It's a lot of things, but we sometimes see science as an enemy, and it shouldn't be. And also, taste of the future. The future is we don't have time. We should take it. We should make things easier. It doesn't have to be complicated. It should tell a story. It should create emotions. So the products I'm creating or we're creating is really bringing essence, bring precision with the knowledge of science and saving time, saving energy, becoming sustainable, but still bringing joy to the plate. So if I could talk as a scientist, talking to the chefs, don't be afraid of science. It's not an enemy, it's a tool, it's a help. and we should do a lot more also in associations with different disciplines, interdisciplinary, because only together we can achieve goals what we want to achieve.
Thank you very much. That's a great input. And you talk a lot about world flavors and cuisine and gastronomy. As a vice president of the Académie Nationale de Cuisine, so tell us more about your and the culinary diplomacy. What is your activity within the Académie Nationale de Cuisine? And
well, this is also something I'm very proud of because as a chemist, you are not always at the top of the culinary association, obviously. So this is a very interesting thing. In the Académie Nationale de Cuisine, we really opened it to the world. That means it is not only open to the French diaspora living around the world or people bringing their expertise in cuisine française. It's really open to everyone because, first of all, French cuisine, which is in this case our identity, of course, is a basic, more or less, for different cuisine. But only this interaction with different people, with different flavors, with different languages, only these can bring us further in our charity work, in our development of cuisine. So it's not about boundaries. We in the beginning, I was introduced to the Academy 5 years ago, and we opened the German and now German-Polish delegation here just 2 years ago, and we had a big opening this year. So, for example, there is a political contract between France, Poland, and Germany, Weimar Dreieck, 35 years ago. So we will be doing a competition, international competition, to bring German, Polish, and French cuisine, so to speak, on one plate as a signature dish for the celebration of 35 years of the contract next year. We want to interact. We want to talk to each other. We want to talk without barriers because, of course, not everyone in Germany or in Poland speak French, and vice versa. But cooking is also language. It's not a barrier. It's something combining, bringing people together to one table. And as you have seen in Morocco, for example, some people are speaking Arab, some people are speaking French, some people are not speaking French. Still, you understand each other. So only together we can really bring things further.
That's really what culinary diplomacy in the working is about, in action.
Absolutely.
And that really resonates with world chefs, and it's really what we are about, with over 100 nations and nationalities coming together, and it's a lot of the time about sharing and learning from each other, and
absolutely,
that's a great richness. Well, Yana, I want to thank you for joining the podcast. It's been great talking to you, and we look forward to following what you're going to do next, and what we do have on the podcast. We have our podcast page if people are interested. We'll put some links. Where can people find? Is it easy to find your products? Do they order directly through a website, or how do you distribute?
Well, for the private people, it's ordered directly from the different site. I have two, one for B2B, one for B2C. And the other ones, there are some distributors in the meantime, because from very small, playful pearl, it became a business. So I do have distributors, of course. And maybe there will be another one. And especially you mentioned airline business, which is very dear to me, and because it's really helping. So there will be always a way to find the way together. And thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to share. We found a connection immediately at the reception in Marrakesh, I think. And I would follow World Chefs, of course. And maybe there will be a chance to meet at your congress in Wales next year. So we'll see how it goes.
That'd be with great pleasure.
I'm sure there is a lot of points where we can complement each other. So I'm open on my side from my company and from the Académie Nationale de Cuisine, of course, to collaborate because only together we can be stronger.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Yana, for joining the show. And yeah, we will share all this information with our audience through the podcast web page, and definitely we'll be finding new common axes to work together. And already we talked about corporate crest, and I'm sure there are other ways to connect the dots, and yeah, for a great world of flavors that you presented us with.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Yana. And you listening, thank you all for listening to World Chef Podcast. I'm your host, Ragnar Fredriksson. Don't forget, we are actually at the last days of our early bird rate for the World Chef Congress, as Yana mentioned, coming up in Wales in May 2026. So don't miss out on that. In the meantime, stay safe. Bye-bye.